Hi everyone, and welcome to the Practice Growth with Pras podcast. I'm your host, Pras Murthy, CFO and co-founder at Dr. Multimedia, where for the last 10 years I've been helping practices grow all across the country. We started this podcast so we could dive deeper into the issues around practice growth, from online marketing to the way you run your business. We know doctors are busy people and you don't have a lot of time to study these kinds of topics, so we're hoping this audio podcast makes it really easy to stay up to date with what's going around the country. We'll be interviewing top doctors, successful practice managers, and other experts in the field. Without further ado, let's get started. And hello, everyone, and thank you for joining us on this beautiful day. So excited to be bringing you another episode from Season 2 of Practice Growth with Pras, the podcast made by the team here at Dr. Multimedia. If you're not familiar, of course, Dr. Multimedia is a medical marketing agency for doctors and private practices to help manage your online presence, websites, social media, reviews, really anything you might need, Google Ads, etc. And here at the Practice Growth with Pras podcast, we have created this format to bring our doctors and our listeners, office managers, staff, as many tips, stories, insights as we can on running your practice, growing your practice, of course, as the name would indicate, and also just tackling online marketing in general. And so this is the third episode now of Season 2, and if you've been listening to the first two, hopefully you've picked up on the theme here, which is Season 2 is all about stories, individual stories, doctor stories, practice stories, really looking at what's going on in the field, case studies, if you will, and sharing them in real time. So we're not talking about things happening a year ago or 6 months ago. So far, we've been on pace, always talking about something that happened that day, that week at worst, I would say, because there's just always something new going on over here at Dr. Multimedia, and we want to share that with you. So thank you so much for tuning in to Practice Growth with Pras. The listenership has been growing steadily, and we're really excited about that. We don't get too wrapped up in numbers or views or anything of that nature. Our goal is just to keep providing free and, more importantly, valuable content for the doctors of the world or the future doctors of the world, so that you're better educated and better understand and actually have some help tackling all these concepts. And obviously, if you like what you hear, we're always here to help you out. But it's really about much more than that. We believe in practicing what we preach. And so if we're telling all of our clients that they need to be doing things like this and creating content and going on video and creating audio format and reaching people where they want to be reached, the drive home, the morning commute, at the gym, late at night, just whatever the case may be, however you like to listen to content, that's where you need to reach them, because we're in an age now where you can consume content in exactly the way that you want and when you want. Long gone, are the days of having to tune in to a television show at a specific time. Unless it's a sporting event, we basically just watch things when we feel like watching it. And the same is becoming true now for reading books. You can get compressed versions. You can get audio books. Really, the possibilities are endless in terms of the convenience and the ease of consuming content. And so if that's going to be the case and the world is going to be crowded and you want anyone to hear or see what you're doing, you really have to approach them from all the different channels. Multi-channel marketing is what we referred to it as in our previous season, when we really dove into the mechanics of it and kind of what that means. So obviously, I'm talking about all of this for a reason, and today was a very exciting day here at Dr. Multimedia as we helped one of our top clients, Watts Dental, out in Florida. A shout out to Dr. Watts. You may remember him from the final episode of Season 1 of this podcast, when Dr. Watts graced us with his presence here in San Diego, and we started, filming a podcast, and an hour and a half later, we had 2 or 3 episodes worth. It was just an amazing time. Talked a lot about practice management, practice growth, owning a practice, all the fears, that we could only get as insights from an actual doctor, and that was a great time, and we had a fantastic visit overall. So anyways, Watts Dental. Today, we helped them roll out a brand new video that we produced for them, and what was a little bit different about this rollout compared to most is that it was really comprehensive. We attacked every channel. We had a plan weeks in advance. which is no small feat for someone as busy as Dr. Watts. And today we got to execute on that plan. And already, the day's barely half over, or just a little bit past half over. And the response has been amazing. He's getting comments, he's getting likes, he's getting shares. But more importantly, his messaging and his branding is getting out there. And people are seeing the level to which he is raising, the bar, and what it's going to take to keep up with him, or even just, copy him. It's not going to be easy. So let me rewind a little bit so that you have a little more context. But I'd say 2-ish months ago, we'll call it 2 to 3 months, since I don't know the exact date, we sent a camera team out to see Dr. Watts out in Riverview in Lithia, Florida, outside of Tampa. And Dr. Watts since then has also opened his second location in Apollo Beach, but that's not what was featured in this video. We'll go back for that. But anyways, we sent a video team out there. They spent about a day and a half, I think 2 days, 1 night, out in the Tampa area visiting Dr. Watts, and they just produced as much video content as they could. So they obviously, did kind of like a video tour, got interviews from all the doctors. Dr. Watts was kind enough to give us an amazing video testimonial. Thank you again for that, Dr. Watts, and which you can find on our website, drmultimedia.com, under case studies. But they really tried to capture as much as they could. And Dr. Watts and Watts Dental are extremely progressive practices. It's why you hear them so often mentioned on the podcast, on the jam sessions as examples, is they really are in tune with not only doing a good job. I think we have lots of clients that do a good job, but I feel like they're in tune with what matters, and a corollary of that is being in tune with what doesn't matter. An underrated skill, in my opinion. It's easy to be really concerned and hyped up about everything. It's a lot harder to understand what's not so important and what to just kind of let go, and when to accept anything less than perfection, and when you can't do that and you absolutely have to produce at the highest level. So anyways, camera team, Dr. Watts, young, dynamic staff, had a great time, got amazing footage, interviews, lighting was fantastic, cool shots, you name it, came back with all this footage. So, okay, after that, now you go to the editing floor or room or whatever your videographers call it, and you start producing. And so the first, deliverable that came out of all of this was a branding video, basically a welcome video for Watts Dental, which was at the time one location. Now it's basically a brand or a franchise. And that's not actually a franchise, but they're going to have multiple locations, and I'd be shocked if they stop at 2. So what is it about Watts Dental? What is going on in the practice? What does it look like? What's the doctor? So granted, there are thousands, if not hundreds of thousands of these kind of videos out there for dentists, and they're all pretty much the same. The doctor introduces themselves, the camera pans around the office, maybe you get a couple shots of patients in action, you grab a couple patient testimonials, and I think I've just described, 98 to 99% of welcome videos for a dental practice. But Watts Dental is different, than a traditional dental practice. They have different core philosophies, different beliefs. They, like Dr. Multimedia, are entirely customer service driven, and the rest is just what they like to do. They like dentistry, and that's how they take care of people. But at the heart, they are trying to take care of people. So first and foremost, one, if you're listening live, you can check out the video by going to visit Watts Dental on Facebook or Instagram. I think even on their LinkedIn, it's Watts_dental if you're on Instagram. And you can check out the video. But they really explain their core purpose, what they're all about. They're about welcoming people, having a friendly environment, making you a part of their dental family. And yes, by the way, they do great medicine and they're going to take care of you. But they're about so much more than that. So it's a really fun spin on what is can be very traditional and very boring, and to take it a higher level, they're really, like I mentioned, they care about what's important. So they know that when a potential patient visits your website or is learning more about you, the more comfortable you can make them with the idea of coming into your practice, the more likely they are to come in. I mean, it almost sounds so elementary that you don't need to say it, but a lot of doctors forget that. They have gory pictures on their website, or scary imagery, or they seem really cold and professional and not caring at all. People already fear going to the doctor. You don't have to make it worse, or even if you're not doing anything to make it better, they're coming from a natural place of anxiety and fear. So the idea is that the only thing they care about is that that if you walk into Watts Dental, that you're going to feel welcome, that you're going to feel happy, that people are going to be having fun. And yes, there's some medicine that takes place and that's why you're there, but they're really going to go to every length that they can to make you comfortable and feel welcome. And that's not just the video. The reason it's so easy to produce a video for them that does this is that it's true. If I've called them many times in the last week, just coordinating all of this, and, they answer the phone with, "It's a beautiful day at Watts Dental. How can we deliver an amazing experience?" Or "How can we make your day great?" Whatever iteration of that. And so just from the first moment, you realize, okay, this is not like every other dental practice out there. I've called lots of dentists. Nobody answers the phone that way. So it's those little extra touches. They take it a little more extreme. They have a friendly doctor, a dog doctor at each location, Apollo and Dr. Zeus, that are simply there to help people feel more relaxed. I see pictures of the dogs sitting in people's laps while they're getting cleaning. I see kids playing with the dogs. Really, again, just kind of jar you and snap you out of your normal expectations at a dental practice. And all of this, of course, is captured in the video. You see people dancing, you see people smiling, hugging. And you create that ambiance, and I think why Dr. Watts is getting such great reception on his own Instagram and in the dental community is because they all know that that's what you should be doing, but he's actually captured that and is now promoting this message. I think the first line of the video, which I've heard 1,000 times at this point, is that dentistry has basically not changed in the last 40 years in any significant monumental way, right? The act of what's going on, caring for your teeth, treating your symptoms or your diseases or whatever, largely unchanged. What has been changing dramatically is the experience that people have when they go see the dentist, young dentists coming up, taking a more business like approach to it, valuing customer service, valuing client and patient happiness and staff happiness, and that's what they're all about. So anyways, it's a fairly long explanation as to what we're talking about, but I really want to drive home the point that this isn't just a normal video. We launch those every day around here. This one was a little more celebrated. So for placing us back in the timeline, we cut the video with all of that in mind. And obviously the team at Watts Dental did a phenomenal job, made it very easy, gave us a lot to work with, just really good on camera and smiling, friendly faces. And we got the video ready. Now, in most situations, once the video is cut, you send it to the client, you all approve it, great, put it on YouTube, put it up, put it on the website, and you're basically done. And that's that. There's no reason to wait. And in general, I'm not a big fan of waiting, and I think you want to do everything now, and get to the next task. So it definitely caught me by surprise when I called Dr. Watts in August, and told him about the video was done, and he said, all right, let's come up with a plan to launch it. How long do you need to launch it? And I was like, I'm thinking in the back of my head, well, about 30 seconds. If you give me the go-ahead, we can just upload this to YouTube and we'll all be done. But I understood what he was really asking me, which is, hey, let's get this everywhere. We don't need to put it on YouTube and then slowly talk about it. When we launch it, let's launch it on Instagram, IGTV, Facebook, YouTube, the website, LinkedIn, right? Get it on people's personal Instagrams, get it on their personal LinkedIns, get it everywhere that we can get it all at once to get maximum exposure, and then we'll continue to market it and reference it and cut it up and use sound bites and video clips and all of that to never let anyone forget about it. But for today, for this day, it's going to be about video launch day. So we actually reverse engineered this. I mentioned I talked to him in early August. He's got staff training once a month. It so happened that September's training is tomorrow. So if he knows he's going to have the whole staff together tomorrow and he wants to make sure that they can all share it and there's a buzz on social media and everything like that, well, it's got to be out today, the day before, because we don't want to be launching the video while they're meeting and their training's over, and it would be a big mess. So we got it out today. Or that was the plan, was to set up today. So weeks ago, we started figuring out, exactly what needs to be done. Cut one version of the video for the dimensions for Facebook, cut a version for Instagram, put subtitles on there for Instagram, make sure that we've got it on YouTube, make sure that we've got the full resolution version for the website where they have a huge video and it's big and it plays in the background. Get the usernames and passwords to the accounts that we don't have. So this is what's been going on for the last week or two in preparation. And we redid the mobile site a little bit, and we launched that on 2 days ago because we knew people would be coming to the website on a mobile device, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So the point is there was a real thoughtful plan in place that was reverse engineered. And what all that effort resulted in was a really cool day around here where, yes, we were getting the video up throughout the day on all these different platforms, getting to see the reaction. People were catching wind of it out in Tampa, colleagues, friends, family, and you just keep seeing it pop up here and there. And now it's on YouTube, and now it's on Instagram. And then for me, the crowning achievement was once we got it on YouTube, when we popped it in, not just on the website, you go to a lot of websites and there's a video that you can play and you can watch it all small. On the Watts Dental website, it is big, it is the background, it is bold, it plays automatically without sound. If you're interested, you click the button, and the color pops on. And once we got it in there and we just watched it on the big screen, it looked beautiful. And I see websites every day, hundreds of websites a day. So it's going to take a lot for me to kind of stop and pay attention. But just the experience, the way that even though we didn't shoot the video perfectly for the website, everything just dropped into place. When the names slid across the screen, they weren't cut off. They were right in the open space. Everything was featured perfectly. It just looked so natural. And then particular to his website, when you click the play button, all the color fills in. And it really just gives you kind of really elevated feeling. And then, of course, you get to know Watts Dental and all of that. And so it was all of these elements coming together that created kind of this video launch. And then now tomorrow will be mass social media sharing. So kind of what's the point of all this? Why have I spent, close to 15 minutes just grandly describing launching a video, which happens all the time? The reason is that it's about a little bit more than a video, or a lot more than a video. The reason all these components were involved is that this represented a major level up in their marketing and their branding and just kind of what the goal is now. For the first year, and he's only been open a year and a half, you're just hanging on for dear life. You're trying to see patients. You're trying to make them happy. You do a good job. You do good medicine, and you're exhausted at the end of every day, and you just keep waking up and doing it again. We get that. I'm sure he's still doing that. Startup mode forever kind of thing. But now that the second location just opened over the summer, and now that there are plans for more, in theory, you also have to worry about building a brand. The same amazing staff can't be in both practices at the same time. There's going to be some splitting up. There's going to be lessons that don't translate down. Dr. Watts can only physically be in one place at a time. So his quality control is going to drastically reduce, and he has to trust the people that he's leaving behind in either place. So when the story now becomes less about this practice or that practice and more about Watts Dental, and you elevate your marketing with really high quality video, multi-channel marketing like we've talked about, and most importantly, the message that you're getting out there, which is, look, we don't even need to talk about dentistry. Let's talk about what your experience with us is going to be like and what we believe in. Now it becomes something bigger. And I think when I logged into his personal Instagram and looked at the comments, that was what a lot of his colleagues were picking up on, bravo, well said, like this is amazing, etc. Because he's tapping into something a little bit deeper, and that's what he's going to have to rely on if he wants to take Watts Dental to a 10 location, 15 location, 20 location practice. people, not just his staff, but patients all around Florida will have to buy into and recognize the Watts brand. So yes, like I mentioned, a lot of people, they get a new video, they launch it on YouTube, it gets some views, you move on and it just fades away. This was a step in the direction of, okay, now we are video branding. Now we are promoting video on Instagram. Now we are doing things at a high level, and we can't stop. Or, it was all really for nothing. It was just one day where you got a bunch of views. So now we're cutting all the other footage and looking for interesting clips and repurposing and filming new videos every month and putting them out there. If you've been following Dr. Multimedia and myself at Practice Growth Pras over the years, a lot of our longtime clients, you've probably seen the change over the last 12 months in our own social media, right? We used to just do social media for everyone, and that's what we spent all of our time about. But in the last 12 months, we hired more marketers to come in and actually run our marketing, produce our own video content, graphics, subtitles, and we've tried to elevate what we're putting out into the world to a much higher level than when we were just doing it because you kind of have to do it and just staying relevant, but really our time and our energy and our focus was solely on what our clients are doing. Well, the reason we paved the way and kind of learn the hard way what works and what doesn't is so we can translate that back down to our doctors who are always years behind, regular digital marketing trends. And so what I told all the staff around here as we were preparing is, hey, look, everything we've been doing, now I want to do that for Watts Dental. All the little lessons, all the little tricks, all the messing around with fonts and graphics and subtitles and colors and backgrounds and dimensions, just take that and run with it for Watts Dental. And now they're going to have extremely high level, high quality of production or production value content. And this is just the start of it, which is why we kind of, we call it a launch day, is yes, the video's up and that hard work is done, but now we want to keep following that up with amazing content. And I know the team at Watts Dental, will step up to the plate as well. That will allow marketing and branding to grow past just what's going on inside an individual location and become a branding, a messaging, and also position them as leaders, not just in their field, in their area. If you live in Tampa, you should go see them kind of thing, but actually try to position them as leaders in dental marketing or marketing a dental practice so that other people watch and are hopefully inspired and then try to, do the same, whether on their own or with the help of a company like Dr. Multimedia. So that's the idea there. And then the other thing that I got a kick out of today was just the multi-channel approach and how deep you have to go and how across the board, you in my head, this was like, we'll start at 7 a.m., we'll be done by like 7:25 and we'll all just move on. But in real time, things happen, things come up, and it spanned over the course of hours because we were tinkering with this or tinkering with that and launching it and double checking, or we forgot to do this over here, go back to that, can someone add a description? So it took 3 or 4 or 5 hours, and then finally, that video was locked into place on the website, and I'm sure there's more tinkering that we'll do, but it created this cascading snowball type effect where you just keep seeing it, you keep experiencing it, you keep enjoying it, and that had some utility too. So not just, of course, the views that we're going to get by being everywhere, that is the core reason for doing it, but also just that feeling and that reach that patient, hopefully his patients, but certainly his community, his colleagues, staff, and their friends are all going to experience and feel. And ultimately, if we were boiling it down to Watts Dental is trying to make patients be comfortable and feel welcome, well, this branding and marketing is meant to make the Watts Dental staff feel proud. We want them to have pride in their work, pride in their team, feel like they're part of a greater cause than just what their daily responsibilities are, excuse me, and really kind of take some ownership over why they're all there and what they're all doing. And again, as a business owner myself and now a manager and having a decent sized staff, it's a whole different host of challenges, but I know for a fact that as Dr. Watts grows his organization, he has to find ways of getting his messaging down, the chain to people that he may not get to spend that much face-to-face time with, like he did when he built his practice and was literally side by side with his core staff members every day, day in and day out. It's hard not to have his energy and his philosophy, kind of rub off on you, and then you find yourself doing it in your daily activities. With the start of video branding and marketing and even internal videos and messaging, he will now have the ability to constantly deliver those messages and those lessons and those philosophies to anyone who joins his organization at any time and make sure they understand what you're stepping into. Obviously a bit of a leap here, but it's football season. So if you're a football fan and you think about organizations and what comes along with sometimes even just the name or a brand or past results, right? Not to bore any of our non-sports listeners, but Antonio Brown, a super talented receiver, one of the best, in the offseason, the short version of the story, went to the Oakland Raiders, an organization with one kind of reputation, not being very well run or too concerned with anything in terms of winning, an organization and dedication, etc. I'm paraphrasing here. But he went to a team that we probably all recognize, the New England Patriots. And the reason a transition like that works is when you join the Patriots organization or when you become a new member there, you understand that what you're joining is far greater than yourself, your individual needs, than anybody's individual needs in the organization. They have a history of winning. They win championships. They're always good. And so you get that there are certain rules here and there are things that will not be tolerated because they are not worth it at the expense of the greater good or the expense of the organization. There's a small anecdote, in regards to a nightclub where I think it was Shaquille O'Neal or something was trying to wear sneakers into a club, and obviously he's, a worldwide celebrity, and they wouldn't let him, and kind of the response was nobody's bigger than the club. No matter who you are, you don't supersede the rules of the organization. So obviously a large comparison, but the reason I'm borrowing the Patriots is that that's not an accident. You don't just tell everybody that this is the type of organization you run and now all of a sudden everybody falls in line. This is an incremental progress and a plan, and it's daily habits and it's daily expectations of excellence and accomplishing, success at the highest level day in and day out that builds that. And one of the ways you do it is obviously how you run the organization internally. And it's also about what you put out into the world to represent your brand and your practice in this case, or your business in our case here at Dr. Multimedia. And we've been working very hard at that too, to put content out into our community that shows that we're the best place to work, that we treat our staff better than anyone, that the financial rewards are endless, that you have no ceiling. If you work here at Dr. Multimedia, your career can grow as far as you want to take it. So we don't just do that, but we also show it and tell it to everyone else, and that's part of what we're talking about. So to kind of tie this all together, what I'm really trying to illustrate, for our listeners, is the power of what a video and related marketing can do. It's not just the words that you hear, it's not just the shots that you see, it's the story that it tells together, and then what that does and kind of the trickle-down effect that it has everywhere, inside the practice, outside the practice, on the website, right? They always had a video on the website. It was always nice. The previous one had some music, and it was amateur in comparison, but still good, went around. It tried to accomplish the same things. But the new video does it at a significantly higher level. And so when you go and you see to the website and the first thing you see is the dentist talking, and he's smiling and he's personable and he's energetic, then you see the rest of the staff, you walk away or click away from the website with a different feeling. And I experienced it myself, and like I said, I look at thousands of dental websites, so someone just Googling around in Tampa, I have no doubt what they're going to go through. I said, wow, this is different. This is cool. I got to see what's going on. They invited me to just come in and tour the facility, even if I'm not a patient. And you make that connection, or at the very least, you associate Watts Dental now with a certain level. And that's what we're going for. So that was kind of the story of today, and a great illustration of multi-channel marketing, fun experience with the video. And then, like I said, this is just day one. Now we can actually go in. Anyone who follows major people on Instagram knows that they repurpose video all the time. They use clips and they update it. So we're just getting started for Dr. Watts and what he can do. But the lessons I want people to take away: one, the planning and the reverse engineering. And look, Dr. Watts is a busy man. He'll text me, just about any time I need it. But to actually get him on the phone, to block off time on his calendar, to sit down and focus on marketing, not an easy task. And thankfully, he trusts us and we do a good job for him. And so it's not an issue. But he could easily be paying another company that wasn't doing a good job more money than he pays us. And he might not know because he's so busy and he's doing so well that he doesn't really think to check. But, taking that approach and doing that work and planning it and reverse engineering it, and that call that I spent with him about the mobile site and planning out the video, I think the call lasted like an hour to an hour and a half, which in either of our days, if you ever ask us in the morning, myself or Dr. Watts, do you have an hour free today for a call? We're going to say no every time because we move too quick for that to be on one thing for an hour. But we both recognize the importance of it, and more importantly, we use that time really wisely to get a bunch of things done, put a plan in place, and then it's just a matter of execution, which is what I have my team for. They did a great job, and Dr. Watts is his team. They'll do their job tomorrow and really enjoy things at a higher level. So the reverse engineering, the planning, the structuring, the thinking ahead, the not just posting it the second it was done, to really take the time to do it right. I think that's one core lesson. I think the next core lesson is branding, marketing, video, audio, social media, high levels of production. It doesn't necessarily have to be expensive, and I've seen great videos that are just shot with a nice iPhone and maybe even like a light attachment or an easy light. That's not what I'm talking about. But something happens when you push every element of the production to the highest level. And those of you that watch the video, let me know how you feel. But when it all comes together, it creates a different dynamic. And I think the importance of that can't be understated. And it doesn't last long, unfortunately. A video is not great and at a high level of production for very long with how fast technology changes and mobile devices change. So we're going to enjoy it while we have it, but probably going to have to do another one in 6 months to a year. So the power of that and the ways that if you use it properly and if you use it differently and if you use it authentically to share, not to fake, right? On social media now, video can be so easily used to fake, to front, to flex, if you're familiar with all of these terms, but all of them basically mean to create an image of yourself that's not the truth. You can do that with video. You can do that with photos. You can do that with social media, and a lot of people do. Different rant for a different day, but basically everything you see on social media is fake. But the idea of not using video to falsely represent yourself, but actually using it to pull out and share the things that you do on a daily basis, the things that you already believe, the reasons your practice is special, your core mission, your core philosophies, to express that via video now and social media is such a powerful thing. Not enough people are doing it. Not enough people are there yet. Not enough people are actually thinking about it in that way. They're doing little bits and pieces of it just by doing a good job of producing content. But to take that one step further and say, okay, we basically, with your mobile device now, you basically have your own television channel. What 30 years ago or 20 years ago was only available to those that had the money to film a TV commercial and pay tons to have it on during popular shows and kind of capture their community's attention. Now anyone can do. And so now that anyone can do it, what's going to separate you is on how you use that medium, what messaging you put out there, what branding you put out there. So I really hope people are thinking about that, because once you set yourself apart as being different, I think we talked about this in different ways in the last 2 episodes of this season. Once you establish that you're different and that you do things differently, the benefit that has, or the return that has, is exponential, because it leads to word of mouth, it leads to buzz, it leads to people associating your brand with something else. And then even when other people try to do the same thing, the fact that you got there first, or the fact that you got there early and you did it your way and you were authentic because no one else was doing it. Meanwhile, once the 3rd, 4th, and 5th person comes along just mimicking you, it's not so authentic anymore. It's lost some of its luster. It's not as exponentially effective. And obviously, for the practices that are genuinely different, genuinely care, by the time everyone else catches up, they're on to the next thing, being authentic and pushing the envelope and trying something new and delivering content in new ways, right? That might be going live on Instagram by that time, every morning for your morning dental tip or whatever the case may be. So that idea is so powerful and so available to just about any practice out there. Now, if you don't run a special practice and it is pretty standard and you are stuck 10, 15 years ago, okay, you might need some help first just figuring out what's going on, what are your competitive advantages, what are your selling points, what are people excited about, and then you can do it. So I'm not saying everyone can just do this tomorrow, but the opportunity is so easy, so simple, and so straightforward, and I just don't see people taking advantage of it right now. You know, I'm sure people are working on it. I see Instagram's getting a lot better. I see Facebook posts getting better incrementally, which I'm very happy about. You know, our clients are working very hard, understanding that they have to do some of the work themselves. There's just no way around that these days. But there's so much more opportunity out there and ways that you can make use of it without spending thousands of dollars, without losing dozens of hours of time like we put in to today's production. You can do it on a smaller scale. It doesn't have to be this big yet, but you can take, you know, your steps towards that kind of a goal. And it really just starts with trying. It starts with consistency. It starts with just refusing to not work on it each day. Maybe you don't get the video right the first 3 times around, but just continuing to film until you do, making the time for it. Those are all things that are easy to say, way harder to do. You know, we get it. There's only so many hours in the day. You have patients, you have paperwork, you have charts, you have payroll. People want to go home. Nobody wants to stay late. Nobody wants to come in on the weekends. Nobody wants to close the practice down for a day so that they can take video. You have to clean the place up. You don't like the pain in the front. I mean, the list goes on as to the number of reasons why you shouldn't do it today, and maybe tomorrow or next week or next month or next quarter are better. You will never run out of excuses to not get started. So that said, you know, it takes a lot of pushing and a lot of attitude and a lot of mindset to not just want to do it, that's the easy part, but to actually do it and then to see through even when it's inconvenient or not easy or, you know, not fast to do so. So I think if anyone listening can walk away with some version of that to help you market your practice one step better. You know, at the beginning of this episode, I felt that Watts Dental has leveled up. I believe that they have gone one level. You don't have to make that kind of a jump because it certainly took a team and a lot of production, but you can go one step up or 2 steps up on your own. And no matter if you're a practice manager that's just inspired, you're a doctor that has no idea what I'm talking about, but you're going to tell someone to listen to this and do it or to check out Watts Dental, or you're just a front desk member that has a good idea to bring to the next staff meeting. No matter who you are, no matter what the setting, something can be done to push you in the direction, you know, of online marketing, multi-channel marketing, delivering your message, delivering your brand. And remember, the bar is really low because you don't have to be known nationwide. You don't have to be even known across your city if you're in a bigger city. You just have to be known in your small little area, wherever you pull, let's call it 85% of your patients from. if you just focus on that 2 or 3 or 5 mile radius and you put out content in that area, and once you have all this video content, we can talk about Instagram ads and Facebook ads and all the different ways you can just stay in front of people, Facebook pixels, things like that. If you just focus on that small area and being the best known dentist or optometrist or veterinarian or chiropractor in that area, it's not that hard. It's not that daunting of a task that people within 5 miles of you start learning who you are. And your competition, at least at the moment, is usually pretty low. Not that they're not doing a good job, they're just not pushing themselves to market. They're doing all the things that they now have to do because now you have to have a website, now you have to have social media, and you have to have reviews. So a lot of people are finally just doing it for the sake of doing it. You want to be 1 or 2 or 3 steps ahead and doing the things that are newly available to you because you want to do them, and you know that if you're always doing that you will benefit in the long run, and that people will identify with you and appreciate you. And even if they aren't paying patients, they'll still know the brand. And, as Grant Cardone says, people don't do business with the best companies. People do business with the best known companies. And so the more known you are, the better your business is going to do. And obviously it starts with what you're putting out for internal marketing. So yes, long-winded story, of course, a lot of details there. I hope all of this makes sense to you when you watch the video, or if you check out the practice that I'm talking about, or even just go to Dr. Multimedia and see some of our work. But I do think it's valuable enough to obviously spend 30, 40-ish minutes talking about it. And it was also very exciting. So I wanted to capitalize on that excitement from today. And a lot of people involved in the production of this podcast were, all morning long, getting everything ready for Dr. Watts. So obviously a big congratulations to Dr. Watts and Watts Dental. You guys were amazing, and I know you're going to have a lot of fun with this and get the word out as to what you're all about to way more people than just the patients that have come to see you. Keep doing what you're doing. We'll obviously be here to support you every step of the way and cut new videos, and then hopefully just provide some amount of motivation or inspiration. Or if you have those things already, then I hope what you take away from today's talk is the discipline required to get it done. Motivation will get you started. Discipline is going to be what helps you get this completed or finished, or just keep going, because you have to make time. I think for anyone that knows us that's listening, whether they know Dr. Watts or they know myself, to understand that we spent an hour on the phone together, I think that's the best illustration of, how seriously we took it and how important it was to us, that we didn't have that time. We made that time, and you don't do that just by thinking you're going to get around to it. You do have to actually take this pretty seriously. So to all of the listeners out there, thank you so much for all of your support. We've, of course, been shouting out our Instagram page at Practice Growth Pras. Be sure you're following at Dr. Multimedia, Instagram, Facebook. We've been putting out a ton of content on LinkedIn, both for the podcast and not, so check us out on there. Tell everyone, thank you for listening today, and until next time, we'll talk to you soon.